moderator.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, I think I will be brief to allow questions, but I think that bottom line, we have gone through a very interesting and complicated problem, approached from a number of different angles. Some of them very consistent, some of them somehow in disagreement, and I hope that we can make use of this fantastic group of people and bring a few final questions as a wrap up to the day. So I think I'll allow you to reply first to Alan's very insightful comments.
Just only to make just to mention what we found out when it's your own, let's say, portfolio, your own case, your own money. Yes, you are very, very sensitive even in a company, and I think there's a difference to the question where you have politicians and other people involved. But it's really a problem. You are completely right. That's for sure. But I think when you see what happens if there is only a small fire, what is the consequence in a company to do? Because they lose clients, they lose money, they lose, let's say, the profit. And this is, I think, very important, especially I think much more important, but it's also important because a small, let's say, when I have to check the situations of a server or ropes or so, a small problem can cause, let's say, a loss of millions of euros. And this is what is the thinking when dealing with such questions in the management, what is really involved and understand the situation. And I think there's a difference to agencies who are related to state level also.
Can I just comment? Surely the people who've got the safety of the public as their responsibility of the authority having jurisdiction. Who was it in the case of the Capra and Tunnel? Was it the Transport Ministry?
No, the problem is that's what the proposal is. It's not yet existing. What we propose.
No, but
in this case, the problem is that there are different authorities.
They're trying to build that in this country. There would have been people in the fire service, in the government ministries who would have spotted this could be a problem. They would have sought advice. And it's those folk that have the responsibility for the safety of the public. And I can't quite understand who has that responsibility for this particular incident.
I think just because the problem is the people enforce regulations. They don't have the responsibility for the safety of the public. They don't. It's exactly the same thing as I asked in Austria. And they enforce the regulations for a Seilbahn, which is normally a box up on a string. And they were like, the Germans have a wonderful word called Fackidiot. Okay, they're specialized idiots. And they look like this at the world, and they see nothing else. And they were among the defendants of the criminal case.
What about the local fire service?
They have no jurisdiction.
No, that's what it is. It's a small town, it's only a voluntary.
Yeah, private.
I see.
Yeah. It's here in the hills. But they indicted the local regulators too. Everyone said it's impossible to know that there would have been a fire in a tunnel. It's beyond human ability to know that. And that was their defense, that they were so stupid that they didn't even know to ask it.
I think I'm going to break the speakers and allow some of the audience to ask a question.
Since the Capra tunnel has actually come up, I've had a slight interest in it since I was actually on it in September 2000. But anyway, sort of like so, in terms of the way it would be dealt with legally in this country, forget any statutes in law as regarding who's got jurisdiction and so on. There is always the reverse and back to common law duty of care, which goes back to.
This gets exactly back to what Barrett was describing as the written law doctrine. It's a little bit better explained in the paper. In other words, on the continent, it's exactly what I raised with Gillian, which is you must make safe products, and safety is defined as compliance with the regulation. And that's why I asked the question. That is the continental approach. You must comply, you must make legal products comply with regulation. They don't accept a broad-based duty of care.
But
That's what the written law doctrine does.
Can I interrupt you? Sure. Because I think this is very important what you're saying. It is the difference between compliance with the regulation as opposed to understanding, what is really going on. And I think one of the things that has come up from my perspective very clear here is that even if I look at all the versions of the same problems that have been presented by all the speakers, the truth is that this is an incredibly complicated problem that we have a very, very hard time to understand. So I think the default reliance on the regulation is because of our inability to understand the problem that you call stupidity, but I think that the truth is that it's an incredibly complicated problem that we truly do not understand. So how do we cope with that other than just relying on some regulation that is really what we have as our alternative? Yes?
Traditionally, we let things simmer along until something goes seriously wrong, and then we try and do something about that.
And that's called World Trade Center, Caprun, Mont Blanc, or any of this, Titanic, or whatever of the things. Yeah.
Could I be more optimistic? Because Leon's over there at Glasgow Caledonian, where they were foolish enough to let me be a visiting professor for a number of years.
Not any longer.
I'm sorry?
Not any longer.
They repented of it. Part of the focus was to try to train the kind of people who could be what Barrett would call the fire safety controllers. That wasn't the way we started it. But that's what, in other words, yes and no, it's imperfect, because they're all subordinate to the overall level of knowledge. But I'll let you go with the comment on the SBI. If we can get 90% there, that's a huge advance. In other words, there's a huge advance in improving where we are in some of these places. Even, reducing the number of disasters by an order of magnitude is a good thing. And I think that that's entirely possible within our current level of knowledge. Whether within our current level of will, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Just the case for Germany, like 3/4 of what Herr Bayer was saying are mostly implemented in most of the companies. Okay? Like going to the conference in Karlsruhe in September, none of those people were there. So basically, if the knowledge is not out there, the people cannot do that, it's all crap.
Man muss zufrieden sein.
Yes, sir.
One of the problems that comes up here, this interesting difference between abiding by written regulations and this broad-based duty of care, is that systems, buildings, everything are getting far more complicated. Now, in the old days, 100 years ago, if you like, 1900, a fire officer could go in and have a pretty good idea of what was going to happen in a facility and be able to make sensible comments. Now, and it's been so for several years now, with a complex system, it's very, very difficult, I can imagine, for a fire officer to know what are the sensible questions to ask you. It may not be the chimney effect improves with the fact of the obvious, but there are far more subtle things that may not occur to a fire officer because the system's so complex and so many different facets in it, not to mention human behavior. And so now you're getting a risk assessment. Risk assessments are relying on models. And we have all the problem that we're going into. Model reliable, knowledge of audio, and all that kind of thing. So it seems to me that what we're being pushed into is certainly a great use of models. And the fire safety controller will find himself, like the fire officer in this country, push that way. Are we going to have all the problems which seems to me are not seriously being addressed of socially acceptable schools, and we're not really addressing it.
Good.
Well, I was going to say that Capron, as an example, if somebody comes along and says, okay, how do I tackle this problem with a law?